Yeah. Blah. Come here. Yeah. I ain't your ordinary hustler. Keep it soundless till the goal achieved. Front runner for my team, I do this for my family. Woke up thinking about my daughter being stolen. Got a lawyer, ain't no help inside my corner. I'm gonna do it by my lonely.
What's up, gang? Look, man, I went to go see the infamous movie everybody kept talking about, Sinners. And what I have to honestly say, and this is my honest opinion, it's my opinion, I don't care about nobody else's opinion. This is what I thought of the movie. I thought the movie was dope, honestly. And I'm not a Christian, so I'm not one of these religious people. I just follow God. And the biggest thing for me would be, I can tell this movie is one of those that was directed towards a certain group of people. And the certain group of people would be the black people, the spiritual.
Shout out to all the kings and queens out there. I just wanted to share a quick download I got from the ancestors.
The woke.
Egypt, Eve ship. Ooh.
All of those type of people were the ones who would get into the movie the most. And honestly, I understand why. And then you have the people that didn't like the movie.
Here we go!
Which would be the religious people.
Hello.
The interracial people.
Oh, my bad.
Type of things, which at the end of the day, everybody has their own opinion. See, the religious people will say that this movie invokes spirits, and fully, they're not lying.
What you talking about, Willis?
See, what I mean by spirits is, in the movie, it can influence you to want to be like something that you saw in the movie, or influence you to go do any of these things, which is understandable. But honestly, that same thing can not only happen with you watching this movie, it can happen from you watching
Where'd you go overseas? I went to Italy.
It can happen from you watching a music video, YouTube, playing video games, or anything on your phone that isn't godly. And you have to be watching godly things at 24/7. So if you're not doing that, then you're already being invoked by plenty of spirits. But me personally, while I'm in the movie theater, I did hear that the movie had witchcraft and was influenced into the movie where they were doing all these things, which I put the full armor of God on.
We are
So look, I should be perfectly fine for any of my Christian folks, religious, any of that. It don't matter. My eyes perfectly fine, gang.
Eyes and like tell that their spirit is evil.
One of the things I'd have to speak on would be how there were people that felt like this movie was meant to diverse black people and white people. And honestly, with the case that we got going on right now, I'm pretty sure we don't need that. That is very much true. We do not need that any further. But me, I am one of those people that is more of a truth seeker. Before I go with any religion, spiritual, woke, any of that type of stuff, I want the truth. Now, obviously, this movie is a fictional movie, but there is truth in it. There is subliminal truth. And you won't be able to catch the subliminal truth if you haven't experienced it, if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in gifts, if you don't believe in a bunch of stuff. But let me break it down to you. See, in the movie, it explains how black people, which this can go for many people of races, but since the movie was specifically talking about black people, we can talk about them. Black people have had gifts that would get shunned off by religious people or people who were their family just because it either freaked them out or any of those circumstances.
And I was told to pray away the gifts and to, what was the word he used? Denounce. He told me to denounce every gift that... This man told me, you are to denounce every gift that is in your bloodline.
And that's true. And a good example that they use in the movie would be the blues. See, Sammy is fine with the music. And since he fought with the music and his blues, back then in those days, religious people and plenty of people would look at the blues as demonic.
Lord, in the name of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you.
I rebuke the Lord.
That's what they used to call it. Now, that's crazy work when you consider the fact that the blues is now put into worship music for God.
Let the devil rise.
It was legit just a way that black people in those days would express the big struggles that they have went through. And because they couldn't express it in the church, they left. You see a lot of people that you want to say have their spiritual awakening or great awakening.
Life start over when you have your first spiritual awakening.
The Great Awakening.
My spiritual awakening.
They don't tell you when you're having a spiritual awakening.
Beginning in the late 18th century and lasting for 50 years, America underwent a wave of religious revivals known as the Second Great Awakening.
Any of that type of stuff, you come across people like that. Because they aren't accepted by the people that are traveling on this narrow path, which you can't blame them because they're scared for their life. They want to make it to that narrow path. But those people that have gifts and have to live with those gifts, they don't want to sacrifice any of those things. So since they're not accepted, they go out into the world, which the world is the wide gate. And that's exactly what your boy Sammy ended up doing. He wasn't accepted in the church, so he went out with his family. And they went to this thing called
the Boom Boom Room. That's it.
Basically, there's one thing about traveling in the world, though, is the fact that when you traveling in the world, you playing with the devil. And you can't ever play with the devil and not get cut. And that's exactly what they say in the movie. The twins, which is Sammy's family, and that's exactly who we ended up going with. They're two war veteran brothers, which in African culture, twins were known to be powerful and can raise havoc. And even in black neighborhoods, they're some of the most iconic people in the neighborhood. They're always known. You feel me? When you go to the neighborhoods where they got twins, they be like, that's the twins.
Evil twin, evil twin.
See?
Twin.
Any of that type of stuff. Even when you got twins that you knew in school. Matter of fact, look at Zach and Cody, god darn it. It's for everybody at this point. You got one twin's name who is called Stack. And Stack is the carefree one. He's the one that's cracking jokes. He a risk taker. And he's also the money maker. So he be about his business, but he laid back. If he being real, he cool. That uncle, that's just smooth. You know, real fun to be around. And then you got Smoke. And his name expresses himself perfectly because he's constantly stressed out, gang.
Smoke one on the wake up, smoke one on the way to work, smoke one on my lunch break.
The boy wants to smoke. He's a lot like, in a whole nother aspect, you could say Smoke is like the Christians, because you see how they're on that narrow path and they don't play no games to get there. Well, he's on this path to be successful in the world with all these worldly things that's around him. And he has his head focused on one thing, and that's money. So he hits up these KKK members to try and set up his boom boom room. You know, and they ain't had no problem with it. And Smoke already knew with him and his brother combined together, they're a powerful team. They know what to do. It's not going to be problematic for them to make something happen out of that time. And they know how to gather up whatever they need to accomplish whatever they're going to accomplish. You then got Mary, who most people are going to call white. But that's the thing. See, Sammy even catches this thing in the movie. What she experiences is exactly what most biracial people deal with. And that is the struggle of not being accepted by the black community.
How many more black features till you finally feel that you're black enough? I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he act tough.
She had always loved the black community. She was always in love with your boy Stack, which is the carefree, you feel me? So what she ends up doing is she comes down to the twins' boom boom room.
Take it to the boom boom room.
You know, from wherever she came from, she came down there to come see what they was talking about. Her wanting to be a part of the community so much, she would use her skin color to be of use to stack and smoke. But that also was what led her to her downfall, because she ended up going to these vampires, who we're about to get to in a second, that she thought was white. Whole time they are not. And she was trying to be a peace treaty, but got caught lacking.
But he decided to go wonder and got his ass stuck by that.
Now we down to these cold-blooded vampires, twin. Now, the leader was a dude named Remick. And Remick, his purpose was to steal, kill, and destroy. Now, does that sound familiar for my Christian folks?
Wait a minute.
He used white people, which those were his first victims. They were part of the KKK, which, remember that when you go back and I told you about how the twins was making a deal with the KKK? Well, he used their thought process of white supremacy, these two KKK clan members at the middle of the movie, to sneak himself inside the house. And they were warned that this person was not normal, but they did not believe it because he was the same color as them. Now, one thing about Remick, which is the vampire, is that when he ends up infecting you, catching you lacking, he learns everything that you know. And he also turns you to one of his allies. So you now a vampire too. And since he was alone by himself, he had to spread as much as he could. He in here like Luffy for real.
I want you to join my crew.
The only way he could gather up the people that he needed to was with his charisma, which...
it's just about to get good. No, I believe you. But this here juke joint, blues music.
We got money and we ready to spend it with y'all.
Sounding damn near perfect, and you're saying we ain't.
He ain't have the twins' charisma, so he had to make his own little thing. But once he catches you, he gets everything that you have. The benefits, the things that you're good at, all of that is his. Plus, you his friend now. See, the goal of the vampire is to convert people who can influence other people and say, hey, look, these undercover vampires are perfectly fine. Now, in reality, bro, these are some never dying creatures. They all share one mind and they act like they're living in peace, but in reality, they can't even see the sunlight because they're vampires. So legit, you see the message in that itself is the fact that they can live forever, they're never dying, they get everything they want, but they can never truly see the light. They can never see what the world has to offer because they always have to move in darkness.
Message!
And they need the twins to make that look appetizing to everybody. Now think about what we do that with rap music today. You got people that legit are moving in darkness, but they make it look so cool.
They paid like Dirk and all them to send the wrong frequency to the hood. So the beat that I'm just doing like this, they got them off rhythm. That's why I'm so they killing up shit.
That's not a life that you can be happy, where you can truly see what the world has to offer, what the light is. That's why Sammy's gift is so important to Remick. Imagine the devil being able to lure people into a lifestyle of murder with cool music.
Cameras out there, walk them down, nobody know what happened. Like,
so the twins, they got their little boom boom room going on, and they were able to make it out of nothing but hard work and networking, which ain't that exactly what the vamps need. So back to Mary. I told you she got caught lacking trying to be a peace treaty. Already got back in the building after finessing the bodyguard to say she could come in, which for my spiritual people, they know no negative things can enter into your premises, or nothing can gain control over you unless you allow it, unless you let it inside of you.
Why you can't just walk your big ass up in here without an invite, huh?
So for people that be lost when I say spiritual, think of it like this. Nobody can influence you unless you allow them to influence you. You have to be around and say, I'm cool with being around these people. I'm cool with doing what they do. I'm cool with whatever. That is the whole point. That's the point of the movie too. You decided to come watch this movie, so now you're cool with seeing what these spirits in this movie could be luring you into. Once Mary is able to finesse herself inside of the building, she goes to the Carefree Bro, which, you know, that's Stack, the money-making one. And guess what happened to him? he get caught lagging too. He wasn't even able to peep that she was a whole demon now, a whole vampire.
True.
He over here binding contracts with it, with the spit and junk like that, because think about it. Your spit, that's your DNA.
Loyalty got royalty inside my DNA.
Smoke finds out that his brother just got bodied by Mary, and he pops up in, shoots Mary, she don't even die.
What the hell?
Because she's a vampire, eternal living type junk. He has to choose whether he'll take the risk on seeing if his brother is perfectly fine or to stay away from him altogether. That just playing it safe in general. He was able to stay solid, especially with his little hoodoo lady that he had right next to him, which the hoodoo lady named Annie, which whenever they do a depiction of black women, they never show these people enough love. So I'm glad that they were able to put her out in there. Most of the time, people are falling for what Sammy fell for, a Jezebel. And the Jezebel in this movie was a girl named Pearline who came to the party, was married, just like Mary. So I want you to remember everybody who is sinning. So Annie represents an aspect of African spirituality. And if y'all see a lot of beef between Christianity right now, it's with the African spirituality.
Jesus Christ. That guy is arrogant. How can you say you are the only way? That is braggadocious.
The Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and He was in the beginning before the Word was made.
But she is only an example of what hoodoo would be. You know, I wouldn't say it's completely the whole witchcraft ordeal, because some people put those two up and they question, I don't know if hoodoo is as bad as voodoo, but they put it all together in one boat. Do I know anything else about hoodoo? No. But I know that in the movie, it was what helped them identify in the first place what the vampires were. Not only was she able to identify vampires, but she was also able to identify what Sammy's gift was. And it was the fact that when he played music, he was able to pierce the veil, pierce the reality of, you know how we'll feel something so well. Like I said, it invokes spirits. Just being able to play and have the ability to play music that makes you feel it. You feel like your ancestors were a part of it. And you start to just let loose and be yourself, which they have a cool, dope scene that expresses what that looks like. Now, the symbol of what Annie's character stands for is it did help them out. But what you have to take away from this whole message was that it didn't save her. The whole aspect, she ends up actually going through something that is biblical, which you remember King Saul, who went to a medium to find out the future, and then he finds out he's gonna die. Well, that's exactly what she experienced.
You and your sons will be with me. No!
Later on in the movie, the vampires start to express their true goal. And their goal is to all that hard work that the twins were able to do and able to gather as many people as they wanted and build the Boom Boom Room that became so successful in one night with Sammy and all the other people that they added on to it. So the vampires are trying to take everything that they accomplished in one night. All of the people that they gathered up and all of their talents that they used to make the Boom Boom Room be so successful in the first place. Does that sound familiar? Think of it kind of like slavery. How Remick ended up getting to the Boom Boom Room in the first place was, do you remember that KKK clan members that he ended up messing with in the beginning? Well, those same ones were part of the ones that the twins got the house from. They got the Boom Boom Room from. So he finds out that they were planning on killing the twins in the first place the next morning anyway. That's how he found out about the whole spot. I hope y'all still with me, because trust, this took so long, gang. It took me about 3 days to make this video in the first place. As I skip forward, because all that happens is a bunch of killing and a bunch of characters that got knocked off. Everyone that was willingly and knew and had been participating in sin that came to the Boom Boom Room in the first place, all of them died. Pearline was a Jezebel who was basically an adulteress, who was cheating on her husband. She got knocked off. Then you got to think about Mary, who was also doing the same thing. She got knocked off. You got Smoke, who was living in lust, messing with Mary, the girl that everybody thought was white. He was messing with her, but had no intentions in actually getting into a relationship with her. He died in the middle of lust. The only one to end up living completely through the ends was Smoke and Sammy. The thing with Smoke was that he got Sammy protected. So he wasn't able to protect his brother, but he was able to protect his little nephew, Sammy. And it was right after Sammy was getting viciously baptized.
Wash him. You can let him out.
It takes a minute or two.
He's washed.
What did you say?
Then tells Sammy to go back to the church, which basically is him saying, hey, Sammy, go back to the narrow path you were on, because this worldly world, this world that was full of sin that we ended up inviting you into, well, it's not the best and safe place for you. But while he tells Sammy to go do that, he dies from trying to get back. Get it back in blood. On those KKK clan members. He dies from wanting to get revenge, which is something that's biblically taught 24/7. Sammy goes back to the church where the narrow path that people were going. After walking the path that leads to the wide gate, he came back to the narrow path and was used as an example by those same people that he had just originally came from. And it full circles back from the beginning of the movie. Like I told you before, you can't play with the devil and not expect to get cut. And now he has a scar on his face looking like straight up Freddy Krueger. You flunked. That he'll have to remember for the rest of his life. So as he's walking inside to where these narrow path people are, where the people of the church, the religious people were, they use him as an example on why you should not be out here doing the wide or in the wide path, which is outrageous because even his father was. Buddy is bleeding, got chunks out of his face, and is being used as an example, being condemned, being told you're doing the wrong things. And all of these are older people. So instead of teaching him how to use that given ability that he loves so much to be kind of put inside the church, they're condemning him. Now, does that sound familiar? Because I kind of think about it like with this film. Instead of teaching people with this film that this is the message that you gain from it, people are viciously, religiously condemning it.
I'm telling y'all right now, do not go see the Sinners movie unless you want to be spiritually contaminated.
I told everybody you probably shouldn't go watch a movie called Sinners, where they had hired the voodoo and hoodoo practitioners to tell them how to do the conjure music and all the...
Instead of seeing that this gift that this person has made can be used for a beneficial thing for the people that did see it. So after being used as an example, I'm pretty sure that caused some church hurt from Sammy. So since no one taught him how to make his blues or his gift into something that could be used for God, he still turns away from the church after he is fully healed from being in the church, which that's honestly a lot of people, because people usually come to God, they're always at their lowest. So that in itself is already something. They end up assuming that God is the religion, when God is not the religion. God is a relationship. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to be around any of these people to build a relationship with God. The good thing is, Sammy, at the end of the movie, you find out that he never sold his soul, and he didn't go the narrow path. He didn't go and sell his soul to the devil, but he traveled somewhere in between those two. And that's where a lot of people are today. But the biggest thing I take away from the movie is